Welcome to the Catholic Cafe, where Catholic truth is served fresh daily. We've made you a reservation in the luxurious corner booth, so come on in and see what's on the menu today. Now, here's your host, Deacon Jeff Drzymski.
Greetings and welcome to the Catholic Cafe. I'm Deacon Jeff, sitting in the luxurious corner booth of the Catholic Cafe. I've got Ziggy Rodriguez here.
That's me.
And I've also got Venerable Tom Dorian.
Hello.
He's still waiting on that miracle, and we're hoping any day now that you don't die, but the miracle happens. But anyway, all that aside, so glad
That'd
you guys
be
are
funny
here.
the day that happens.
No, I'll be sad. And best.
Funny that you two are going to be like, yes.
No. Well, the miracle. Yeah, the miracle.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it'll probably be in my life. That's what I think is going to be beautiful. I'm going to win Powerball or whatever. And it's like, thank you, Tom. No, that's not what's going to happen. And that's not a miracle, folks. I'm just going to tell you that. But, you know, Bess will be like, hi, Bess, by the way. And she'll be like, you killed Tom. It's like, no, I didn't kill Tom. I promise you I would never kill Tom.
Cindy will. She'll tell you that.
Oh, yeah. You killed my husband.
She's banging on that door. Hey, Cindy.
Yeah, sorry about that. So we're going to talk about something interesting today. You know, a lot of people look at me, and I can understand why. They look at me and think that I know everything, right? They think that I am a repository for all that is Catholic and all that is good and all that is holy and all the scriptures and all the church fathers and all these things.
Isn't it, Sam?
Everyone looks and thinks that that's the case. And you guys have a doubting look on your face. No. Doubting Thomas is sitting here across from me. And that's not the case. And I freely admit that there are probably one or two things I don't know. And it's like, I'm just kidding. It's a lot more than that. And so recently, one of my kids came to Bess and I and said, you know, I want to get back in my faith. I kind of want to get back in my faith. This young man, we're really, really proud of him. He became a police officer. And, you know, when you become a police officer, you kind of put your life on the line, right? You start thinking, you talk to other people, first responders, you know, they're out there. Yeah. And so it's like, hey, I think I want a St. Michael the Archangel medal because other guys are wearing them. And these are guys that aren't necessarily, like, are they going to church? Are they like affiliated with, not particularly, you know, but they got the St. Michael the Archangel. Now, to some of them, it might be like a lucky charm or something. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But my son, who had been raised in the Catholic Church, and he wasn't anti-Catholic by any stretch, but like a lot of young people, including myself, had kind of wandered off, you know, a little off the rails just a little bit. But he started to feel like this sort of tug, you know, back to the church. And then a comment came up about wearing the scapular, right? And I'm like, and I didn't know a lot about it. I know of it. I've seen tons of people wear it, you know, and I know about it, and I know, you know, it's connected to the Carmelites, to Our Lady of Mount Carmel. I know it's called the Brown Scapular. There are also other, like there's a green scapular and there's a red scapular. I'm sure there's all kinds of colors of scapulars now, but I know most about the Brown Scapular. And so I said, I tell you what, let's go, because I did do a little bit of research and find out that you certainly, you know, it's America. You can just go buy one and wear it, right? You can buy them on Amazon, buy a 10-pack for like $10 or something, and you can just wear it, right? But I do know that when you read all the websites and the stuff, the people who are in the know, because I get everything off of Google, right? So we go there, and Google said you need to be enrolled. They use that word explicitly. You need to be enrolled by a priest. And then there's this question about whether it can be a priest or a deacon. All that aside, doesn't matter. You need to be enrolled in this Brown Scapular devotion. And so I bought these Brown Scapulars, and I actually on mine, because it was going like to my son, and you know, my wife was wearing one, and I put like a little Saint Stephen medal that I had blessed on the day that I was ordained. So, and then also like a miraculous medal. And so these are kind of put on there along, and then because people told me, oh, those scapulars, they go all over your neck and they float around, but if you put a medal on them, it kind of holds them down in place. Little practical tip. But so I did that, and then we went to our parish, our pastor, and said, can you enroll us in the Brown Scapular? And we did the little liturgy. There's a little short liturgy, can be done in just 5-10 minutes, whatever. And so we've been wearing it. I've been wearing it for a year now. And you know what? I am not doing this for superstitious reasons. That would be wrong. But at the same time, I have faith and I believe, but I don't know a whole lot about it. I'm embracing something. I did enough research to know this is not some kind of superstitious like voodoo thing, right? It's not. Right. It's not magic. There is no magic in the Catholic Church, and that's why I hate to use that word associated when people's like, "Oh, it's like magic. This happened." It's like that ain't magic. Magic is bad. This is about. There's a mystery here, and there's something beautiful, and it's tied to faith, and it's also under the mantle of the Blessed Mother. And so these are all things that go like, okay, then it's okay for me to do that. And plus, it was a way for us to unite a little closer with our son, who's kind of digging into his the faith of his birth, right? So that's my experience with the Brown Scapular, and I wear it. And so at the end of the day, then Ziggy, you said, hey, we should do a show on the Brown Scapular.
Yes.
And I'm going like, I don't know enough to do a show on the Brown Scapular. I mean, I know what I just told you. What I just told you is what I know.
Okay.
Right? And so the reason that Ziggy is even on this show is because he's our like sort of encyclopedia.
Oh no.
Yeah. He's our encyclozygia, and he tells us all the Catholic stuff. He's always ready with a quote from a saint or a church father. Is he not?
Oh, totally.
Yeah. So, and I know now, Tom, are you interested? Are you wearing a Brown Scapular? Are you thinking about it?
I used to wear one a long time ago, but I'm like you. I really don't know what the heck I'm doing, Ziggy. I think it's just one of those things. I thought it was a good idea. Somebody told me it was a good idea. I did it, or maybe it was enrolled and don't even remember, which is terrible to say.
Well, but it's okay.
But so Cindy and I are actually going through a novena right now, so that we're going to be enrolled on July 17th?
No, 16th.
16th. Yeah. So, yeah, we're in it. We're in it to win it.
Wow. That's so like the scapular, and you're right, there's a lot of people who wear it who probably haven't been enrolled, or who probably don't know what it is really, and what it means and what it stands for. A lot of people might be wearing it just because they hear the quote scapular promise, where he who wears this shall not suffer eternal fire. And they're like, well, I'll have one.
Give me two of those.
Yeah, exactly.
I know somebody else. My drinking buddy could use that.
Right.
Yeah. And that's the superstitious part, right? If you're motivated strictly by like thinking it has some kind of magic quality.
Yeah, if you're like, oh, this is a get out of jail free card or get out of hell free card where I can just sin all I want as long as I wear the scapular.
Now, there's also, though, like the concept of like, we'll say imperfect contrition.
Sure.
Like, I fear the pains of hell.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to do the bad thing, and I want forgiveness because I don't want to go to hell.
Yeah.
That's God can work with that. That's
Sure.
called imperfect contrition. Now,
Sure.
perfect contrition is I want to go to confession and forgiveness of my sins because I don't want to offend you. I love you. You're my father, and I did wrong. That's perfect contrition versus imperfect. So there might be an imperfect wearing of the scapular, right?
Oh, sure.
That is not outright wrong.
Right.
It's just not fully embracing all the grace that's there.
And I'll say this, when I first had my, some of you who might know my story, I had a reversion experience in 2005. And that was when I first started wearing the scapular. And then I left, I didn't leave the church, but I just fell away. And it wasn't until 2011 that I got, reconnected to my faith. And one of the first things that sort of laid the foundation for me to have my reversion experience, which was in like All Saints Day of 2011 was when it all came together. It began a few months prior where I was going through a really rough time and I was living an extremely sinful life. And I knew in my heart of hearts that I needed to get back to God in some way. And I saw in my airport luggage, an old scapular going back to 2005. And I pulled it out. And I was like, I'm going to start wearing this thing.
Could have been your guardian angel.
It could have been my guardian angel or our Blessed Mother, And at the time, I didn't really know much about it. But I do think looking back, I was definitely very much wearing it imperfectly at the time. I don't even know. Yeah. I wasn't necessarily thinking I'm doing this to, for a get out of hell free card, because I don't even know if heaven and hell was on my radar. I just knew that something was wrong with my life. Yeah. Right. But I do think that looking back, I can see I invited graces upon myself by wearing the scapular. And that's one of the things that's really important for us to remember, and why the enrollment is important. But maybe we should kind of take a step back and discuss like what it is, what the Carmelites are, you know?
Yeah.
And so like, a lot of people don't realize this about the Carmelites.
They're not the Caramelites.
They're not,
because I do like caramels.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you, I do like that. So
right, they're not the Carmelites.
that's the light brown scapular. Yeah, it's a whole different, and it's edible. Okay, I blasphemed. I'm so sorry, Lord. Please forgive me. Blessed Mother, forgive me. Anyway, sorry.
So the Carmelite order, a lot of people might not realize this, but the Carmelites are the religious order within the Catholic Church who has who basically they have a claim to their order, basically predating Christianity, right, or predating Christ, and some of us might be like, well,
by like far,
by a lot, and people might be like, how does that work, you know? And here's the thing: they say they have two founders, basically, or I guess a third if they include Saint Simon Stock, but it's the Blessed Virgin Mary, of course. But their original founder, they say, is the prophet Elijah. And so a lot of people might not know this.
See, I didn't know this. This is fascinating.
Yeah, so
the whole fiery chariot.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Well, so if you look in scriptures, Elijah went to Mount Carmel, right, and to contemplate the Lord and seek the Lord. And the Carmelites, what you had during so Saint Simon Stock, he's at the very center of this the story related to the scapular.
When was he though?
So he died in like 1256 and was born in like 1156. They say, I don't know,
somewhere around there.
You know, right. So he lived about 100 is what is said. Obviously, the Crusades were happening at the time, right? And as to whether he was a crusader or whether he was a pilgrim, because you also had a lot of people who were just making pilgrimages to the Holy Land at that time. He was not from that area, I don't believe, and was a pilgrim or a crusader. And he joined in a practice that had maintained on Mount Carmel since the days of Elijah, which was since the days of Elijah, holy people, holy men of God, following in the footsteps of Elijah, would go to Mount Carmel to wait as hermits, to live as hermits and wait for the Lord.
So, that was like 800 BC.
Yes. Yes.
Been a while,
right? And then basically that this, what is said, is that this continued, except now these men were Christian men waiting for the Lord on Mount Carmel. And so when Saint Simon Stock, when he was, whatever it was that brought him, whatever his initial intentions were when he found his way to the Holy Land, he found his way to Mount Carmel and chose to live with the Carmelite hermits, because that's what they were. And at the time, they didn't have a rule of life or anything like that. They had just been living on Mount Carmel, seeking the Lord. But it was around his time that people actually started to adopt a way of life, right? And actually started turning it into more of an order, right? And the thing that makes St. Simon Stock famous is he's the guy who basically brought the spirituality of Mount Carmel, of these hermits of Mount Carmel, and brought it to the broader world. And this was by way of a vision that he had of Our Lady with regard to the scapular, right? And so he had a vision of our Blessed Mother under the title of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. That's how she is remembered. And what was asked of him was to spread devotion to the scapular. And just so people know, like a scapular, what you're actually like, monks wear a scapular as a part of like
it's a lot bigger.
It's a lot bigger, right? So like a monk has a robe, and then over scapula, right, is your shoulders. So over the shoulders is a long.
It's almost like you look at like a poncho, or it's something that's worn over the shoulders, down the front and the back.
Over the front and the back. And so basically what she's saying is, when you're taking this little square, and this is one of the reasons like a scapular, for it to be legit, is supposed to be wool, and it's supposed to be like brown wool, right? Because it is supposed to be a piece of a scapular, of literally a monk's scapular, where you're wearing a piece of that scapular. You're literally taking the Carmelite habit upon you. And so just as graces are visited upon somebody when they become a priest or they join a religious order and they take on the mantle of that order, when you are taking on the scapular, you're taking on the mantle of Our Lady, but you're also taking on the mantle of the of Mount Carmel and the graces and protections that come with that. And now, from a practical perspective, that includes the prayers of Carmelites around the world, and there's some really holy Carmelites out there, but also graces that are proper to the life of Mount Carmel, which is a life of contemplative prayer. And so I can tell you that, like, there's a lot of advantages to wearing the scapular, and there's a lot of graces, including the protections for purity and protections generally and growth in relationship to our Blessed Mother. But I have personally experienced the difference that it makes when you are faithfully wearing the scapular of Our Lady of Mount Carmel, the Brown Scapular of Our Lady of Mount Carmel, and enrolled in it. And we can talk about what that looks like and what that is. Because in my personal experience, I would say that the graces related to contemplative prayer are huge. And like, for those of us who don't know it, in the Catholic tradition, there's vocal prayer, there's meditative prayer, there's contemplative prayer. We're able to initiate vocal prayer and meditative prayer on our own, but you can't. Like, contemplative prayer is infused contemplation. It's God gets to decide when you enter into contemplative prayer. Not you.
Can put yourself in situations that would induce that, or where it would be more likely that you would be there. Like, so on a mountaintop, or in a prayerful situation, in a monastery, in a beautiful meadow or whatever, and in a relaxed state. Those kind of things.
Yes, and when in my experience, you are increasing that openness and that capacity, and by wearing that scapular of Our Lady of Mount Carmel and wearing it faithfully, and when you enroll, it used to be you had to get enrolled by a Carmelite priest. Now, as to whether it's priest or deacon, I don't actually know, but I know a priest you certainly can.
It's good to get a priest. Go ahead and get a priest.
Yeah. And you're making certain promises. You have, as Deacon said, there's a little bit of a liturgy where you're making some prayers. You're making a commitment to chastity, to living a pure life. You're also making and that's proper to your station in life. So if you're married, that's different than someone who is single or celibate, right? But you're making a promise to live in accordance with purity, in accordance with your station in life, right? And then you're also making a promise to do some sort of a daily prayer in honor of Our Lady, whether it's the rosary. That's the norm these days, is the rosary, a daily rosary, but it needs to be some sort of a real commitment to Our Lady, and a real commitment to wear this scapular always, and to keep it close to you as a part of your life. These are the things that we are doing when we take upon the scapular. So ultimately, if you are wearing it faithfully, you are wearing faithfully a sign of a promise that you've personally made to Our Lady in the presence of a priest, and you are seeking graces that include prayers of Carmelites around the world, and then also and that help lift the heart up into contemplative prayer. And you are cooperating with that by making a daily prayer practice, like a rosary, something like that. So if you put all of that in perspective with why Our Lady is saying you won't suffer eternal fire if you die with this on, if you die after having worn it faithfully, you are really placing yourself under Our Lady, and you are being led by her through this life, through these graces, such that when we die, she'll be able. It's called the Sabbatine promise. So like that within 7 days, whatever days are in purgatory, we don't exactly know, but that within a shorter period of time than you normally would, that she's going to come and scoop up those who faithfully wore their scapular.
And again, it's not because the scapular is imbued with these, what I don't like is magic qualities. It's not because of that. It's because essentially in enrolling, you become more. You're like a layperson who's decided to become a monk or a nun.
Yes.
Right. You and I'm picturing when you said that these scapulars, because they have to be the brown cloth that they like they're taken out of a monk's wool. They have to be taken out of a monk's habit. I'm picturing this one monk who's like got a bunch of squares cut out of his habit. And he's like, darn it, and it's like it's getting cold. It's like I noticed somebody else enrolled, so I had to give them one of my a little bit of my habit. But because you're living like that,
Yes.
it's kind of like you've heard the expression that from that old country song, "Looking for love in all the wrong places." Well, you're gonna if you find your true love in the wrong place, it's because that atmosphere is not going to end up being your true love. It's a whole different thing. And so what atmosphere what environment are you putting yourself in? And when you put yourself in the environment of holiness, I promise you, it's a lot easier to get to heaven.
Yeah,
right? That's the promise is, if you live a holy life, you'll go to heaven. That's everybody's promise.
Right.
But this is a way in which you can literally enroll yourself in a holy way of life. Now, it requires you to do things.
Yes.
It's not like it's just a get out of jail free card, right? It really is
a one and done.
Right. When you enroll in a class, you're going to get you have to listen to the lectures, you're going to have to do the math work, you're going to have to do the homework, you're going to have to whatever, you have to study, right? So it's the same kind of concept, but when you do that, well, then you're going to be better off for it. You're going to have an education when you go to school, when you enroll in class. Well, you're closer to heaven when you are living that holy life.
Well, and something that's really cool about the scapular is most sacramentals, you have to go get them blessed. But with this Brown Scapular, once you've been enrolled and it's time to get a new scapular, I mean, you can go get it blessed, but you can just take any scapular, any brown wool scapular, and put it on. And at that point, you are continuing those promises. That's the source of grace.
These are not made to last forever.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And so that's the other thing I'll tell people. I've already lost one.
Yeah.
When I say lost, I didn't where's my scapular? But I
fell apart.
I was doing work one day, and I was outside, and it was hot, so you can imagine what it was like. And then peeling off the T-shirt, the scapular came with, and then it pulled and tugged and popped, the connection from the little brown cloth to the little cord that's on there, and you can't just retie those. And so at the end of the day, it's like, okay, put a new one on, right? Because I'm enrolled. I'm in the classroom. I don't need. If I lose my book, I'll get another book, but I'm still in the class.
and the scapular is also very powerful as a matter of spiritual warfare. Give you a couple of examples. One, St. Padre Pio is often attributed as saying that the scapular is the armor and the rosary is the weapon, and that you need both. I don't know. I can't say whether or not that's properly attributed to St. Padre Pio, but that's a pretty fantastic representation of what it is.
It's believable.
And I'll give you a personal experience of myself. I've had in my life two, I think, encounters with people who were possessed. One was confirmed by the church, and then one was a guy, I don't know whether he was, but there's reasons for me to think he was, and there was a very holy priest who weighed in on it and concluded that he was. In all likelihood, there's a good likelihood that he was possessed. Well, in my encounter with this guy, and I had a couple encounters with him, I was just wearing normal clothes, but under my clothes was a brown scapular. It was hidden. He didn't see it. But when he saw me, he said, "Nice costume. This is what I choose to wear. This is what I choose to wear." And when he said nice costume, I was like, I'm just wearing normal clothes. And what was in my heart was the scapular.
Well, what you think are normal.
Well, no.
He had his bunny outfit on. Do you remember?
I did.
He's got the big floppy ears.
I don't think it was the bunny outfit. No. But in my heart, I felt like God directed my attention to the scapular. And when I talked to the priest about it, he was like, yeah, when you're wearing the scapular, if man is possessed, he's not just seeing you. He's seeing you under the mantle of the scapular.
And again, the scapular is something you put on.
Yes.
Right? And I love the idea that it's armor.
Yes.
Because it's part. And think about why a nun wears a habit.
Yes.
And that word comes from habitus, which doesn't mean like things that we do. It's like habitus is Latin, and it's like it's your environment. It's what you're under, what you're doing. So a nun's habit is her environment, and it's something she wears. She wears a habit, and it puts her in this. It's like, again, hold on, let me put my armor on.
Right.
Right. And that's what's happening when we are wearing this little piece of cloth, and based on your experience, that's seen in the supernatural and feared by certain entities.
Yeah,
and that's powerful again. And just wanted to dissuade people from thinking this is some kind of let's say supernatural, some kind of magic formula or potion or incantations. This is not Harry Potter world. This is where, all those things, all those fantasy novels and things are really based on maybe aberrations of true supernatural, mystical, beautiful, grace-filled things, right, that happen and that are real. And it's good versus evil. It's God versus the devil. And the honest truth is, all that stuff is real. And it's not fantastical. It makes a great movie, I admit. All the exorcism movies and stuff like that. People are fascinated by that stuff. But the reality is there's a basic truth that when you're wearing something that is essentially a piece of holy armor, it's protecting you.
Well, it's the same armor that St. Therese of Lisieux wore, St. Teresa of Avila wore, St. John of the Cross wore.
And that's beautiful. So for those who are interested, find out a little bit more. Don't go into this thing blind. But at the end of the day, I've discovered it's good. Tom's doing the novena. He's going to be wearing the scapular soon. Ziggy's been wearing it for 60 years. How old? I don't know how you are. And so it's quite beautiful. It's an opportunity. And again, it's just one of those things that are part of this great faith of ours, the Catholic faith. We are so wealthy in terms of grace, in terms of all the things that we have. You can be as poor as a pauper, and you've got more wealth than any human being could ever have because of the graces that God gives us. And so let's just ask the Blessed Mother to help you to see and to help all those and to protect those who need her protection. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Our Lady of Mount Carmel,
pray for us.
Thanks for listening to the Catholic Cafe. If you'd like to contact Deacon Jeff, send him an email at deaconjeff@thecatholiccafe.com. Visit us on the web at thecatholiccafe.com. You can also find us on iTunes or follow us on Facebook and Twitter. The Catholic Cafe is brought to you by the Order of Malta Federal Association. Join us again at the Catholic Cafe, serving up salvation one cup of coffee at a time.